Life is a journey, and no matter who you are, where you come from, or what you face, you've probably asked yourself, why do we suffer? Why does pain, frustration, and suffering feel like an unavoidable part of the human experience? These are questions that people have been asking for centuries. But what if I told you that the key to true peace, to real happiness, was hidden in a simple yet profound truth? One that can transform the way you experience life. In ancient India, over 2,500 years ago, a man named Siddhartha Gautama, who later became known as the Buddha, unlocked the secret to understanding human suffering and discovering the path to inner peace. The answers he uncovered didn't just change his life, they have the power to transform yours as well. In this video, we will explore the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism, 4 profound insights that form the core of the Buddha's teachings. These truths offer a roadmap for understanding the nature of suffering, its causes, and, most importantly, how to transcend it. The Four Noble Truths are not merely philosophical concepts. They are practical principles that, when applied, can help you live a life of greater clarity, peace, and compassion. Let's begin our journey into the heart of the Buddha's path to enlightenment. 1. The first noble truth, the truth of suffering, dukkha. The world is full of suffering. Birth brings suffering. Getting older brings suffering. Sickness and death bring suffering. Meeting someone you dislike is suffering. Being apart from someone you love is suffering. And struggling endlessly to get what you want is suffering. In fact, any life filled with desire and craving is always full of pain and trouble. This is called the truth of suffering. These are all parts of life that we can't escape, no matter how hard we try. The Buddha's teaching is not about making us feel bad, but about helping us face reality so we can live more freely. Let's think about it with a simple example. Imagine you buy a brand new phone. You're so excited to have it because it's shiny, fast, and new. But then, over time, the phone gets scratched. The battery doesn't last as long. It might even break or stop working. Suddenly, the excitement you had fades, and you feel frustrated because the phone isn't perfect anymore. This is a small example of the kind of suffering we face in life. Everything changes. Nothing stays perfect forever. Even good things in life can bring some form of suffering. You might get a great job, but with it comes stress, long hours, or responsibilities you didn't expect. You might form a deep bond with someone, but eventually, that person might move away, change, or leave your life. Relationships, success, or even happiness are always temporary. The first noble truth helps us see that these changes, whether small or big, are a natural part of life. We all face challenges, losses, and disappointments. It's not about avoiding them, but learning how to deal with them. Here's the good news. Acknowledging this truth doesn't mean we're doomed to a life of misery. In fact, understanding that suffering is a part of life can actually help us live better. When we accept that life isn't always going to be perfect, we stop putting so much pressure on ourselves to avoid pain or be happy all the time. We begin to approach life with more balance and less frustration. Think about how many times you've faced challenges and come out stronger. Maybe you've faced a difficult breakup, and at the time it felt unbearable. But as time passed, you learned more about yourself, grew emotionally, and became more resilient. Or perhaps you went through a tough school year or a job struggle, but you pushed through, learned new skills, and built your confidence. Every time you face suffering and overcome it, you become stronger and wiser. This is the kind of growth the Buddha is talking about. So the next time you face a difficult moment in life, remember, suffering is part of being human, and you have the strength to work through it. Embrace it, learn from it, and use it to grow. Life's challenges don't define us. It's how we respond to them that shapes who we are. Life might not always be easy, but it is a beautiful journey full of lessons. And by accepting that suffering is part of it, we free ourselves to truly live with peace and purpose. 2. The second noble truth. The truth of the cause of suffering, samudaya. The second noble truth in Buddhism teaches us that suffering does not just happen for no reason, it has a cause. This might sound simple, but understanding it deeply can change the way we approach life, our challenges, and our relationships with others. The second noble truth is called samudaya, which means the origin or the cause of suffering. According to this truth, the root of all suffering is desire or attachment, the thirsts of the physical body and the illusions of worldly passion. We desire things. We want things to go our way. We hold on to people, objects, or situations, and when they change or go away, we experience pain, frustration, or disappointment. It's not just about physical suffering like pain or illness, but emotional suffering too. Things like stress, anxiety, jealousy, and sadness. Think about it. We all know what it's like to want something badly and not get it. Maybe we've worked hard for something at work or school, only to see others succeed instead. Or maybe we expect a certain outcome from a situation, but things don't turn out as planned. When these things happen, we suffer. It's not the thing itself that causes the pain, but our attachment to how we want things to be. Imagine a child who has a favorite toy. They become attached to it, loving it so much that when it breaks, they feel devastated. The toy itself isn't the problem, but the attachment to it is. They wanted it to stay perfect forever, and when it didn't, they suffered. As we grow older, our attachments don't just stop at toys. We get attached to our careers, relationships, homes, or even our ideas about how our lives should unfold. When things don't go the way we expect, we experience suffering. We forget that life is always changing, and holding on too tightly to things can only lead to pain. Examples in everyday life. Material desires. Think about the times when you've wanted something material, a new phone, a car, or clothes. When you finally get it, you might feel happy for a while, but that happiness doesn't last forever. Over time, the excitement fades, and you might start desiring something new. The more we chase material possessions, the more we realize that they can't provide lasting happiness. The attachment to these things only leads to disappointment when we don't get them, or when they lose their value. Relationship expectations. Relationships can be a source of joy, but also a source of suffering. We might expect others to behave a certain way, treat us a certain way, or meet our needs. When they don't, we feel hurt or frustrated. Often we forget that people are different, and we can't control their actions. Letting go of unrealistic expectations can ease the suffering we create in our relationships. Unmet goals. Another common way desire leads to suffering is when we set big goals for ourselves. Maybe you want to be successful in your career or achieve something personal. However, if we tie our happiness only to achieving that goal, we risk feeling empty or frustrated if we fall short. The problem is not in having goals, but in clinging to them as the only way to find fulfillment. Instead, learning to enjoy the journey, not just the destination, can reduce the pain when things don't go as planned. Buddhism doesn't tell us to stop having desires or to stop wanting anything. It simply teaches us to understand that attachment is what causes our suffering, not the desires themselves. We can still enjoy things, work hard for goals, and love others, but we must learn to let go of the attachment to how things must be. One way to practice this is by recognizing impermanence. Everything changes. People change, situations change, and even our own feelings change. By accepting this truth, we can free ourselves from the anxiety of holding on too tightly. So next time you face a setback or feel frustrated with life, remember the second noble truth. Reflect on what you're attached to and ask yourself if you can let go just a little. Doing so might just be the key to unlocking a more peaceful, fulfilling life. 3. The third noble truth, the truth of the end of suffering, Nirodha. Have you ever wondered if it's possible to live a life free from the constant stress, worry, and frustration that often weigh us down? The third noble truth in Buddhism, called Nirodha, offers us a powerful answer. Yes, it's possible. This truth teaches us that suffering doesn't have to be a permanent part of our lives. In fact, there is a way to end it. But how do we end suffering? The third noble truth reveals that the path to freedom from suffering lies in letting go of attachment, desire, and craving. It's not about escaping life's challenges, but about changing our relationship with them. Nirodha means cessation or ending. It's the idea that suffering can be stopped when we release our attachment to things we can't control, like our desires, expectations, and the constant need to have things go our way. The truth of the end of suffering tells us that by freeing ourselves from these attachments, we can experience true peace and happiness. This doesn't mean we won't face difficulties in life, but rather that our inner peace won't depend on things going exactly how we want them to. Life will still bring challenges, but when we let go of the craving for everything to be perfect, we find that we can handle those challenges with a calm mind and open heart. Imagine you're trying to hold a bird in your hand, its wings fluttering wildly, desperate to fly. The tighter you grip, the more it struggles and the more you hurt it. But when you gently open your hand and let the bird fly freely, it soars with grace and you feel a deep sense of calm. This is what happens when we stop clinging to our desires and trying to control every outcome. When we release the need to hold on tightly, we allow life to unfold naturally, and in that freedom, we find peace and ease. The key is understanding that much of our suffering comes from our attachment to things, outcomes, or even ideas of how life should be. We might crave success, approval, material possessions, or even the idea of a perfect relationship. But when we realize that these things don't guarantee lasting happiness, we can begin to let go of our attachment to them. Letting go of perfection. You may have a desire to always get things just right. Whether it's your appearance, your work, or your relationships, you might constantly chase perfection. But perfection is an illusion. It's unattainable. By letting go of the need to be perfect, you free yourself from the pressure that causes stress and self-criticism. You can simply do your best and feel good about it without the constant worry. Releasing unmet expectations. Have you ever been disappointed when things didn't turn out the way you wanted? Maybe a job didn't work out, or a friend let you down. By releasing unrealistic expectations and accepting that things may not always go according to plan, you open the door to peace. Life is unpredictable, and when you stop clinging to the idea that everything must go your way, you can find calm even when things change unexpectedly. Forgiving yourself and others. Sometimes we hold on to grudges or guilt, thinking that they define us. But holding on to hurt from the past only weighs us down. When we let go of these negative feelings and forgive, we create space for healing and joy. By releasing the pain, we free ourselves from suffering. So, if you find yourself struggling, remember the third noble truth. The end of suffering is possible, not by changing the world around you, but by changing how you relate to it. Let go and experience the freedom and peace that come from within. The fourth noble truth, the truth of the path to the end of suffering, Magga. And finally, we come to the fourth noble truth, the path to the end of suffering. The Buddha didn't just point out the problem, he also gave us a solution. And this solution is the Eightfold Path. It provides a practical framework made up of 8 steps that focus on ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. When practiced together, these 8 steps guide us toward liberation, a life of peace, joy, and true happiness. Let's take a closer look at each of these steps to see how they can transform our lives. Right understanding. Right understanding is the first step, and it means seeing the world as it truly is. It's about recognizing that suffering is a part of life, and that it arises from our desires and attachments. When we understand this, we can begin to accept life as it comes, without being surprised by pain or disappointment. Instead of fighting against reality, we learn to flow with it, knowing that everything is temporary. Right intention. Right intention is about setting your heart on kindness, compassion, and non-harming. It means choosing to live with good intentions, free from anger, greed, and hatred. For example, when faced with a difficult person, instead of reacting with frustration, we can choose to respond with understanding and compassion. Right intention helps us create positive energy in our lives and in the lives of others. Right speech. Words have incredible power. Right speech means speaking truthfully, kindly, and without causing harm. We avoid gossip, lies, and hurtful words. Imagine how much lighter your life would be if you only spoke words that built others up instead of tearing them down. Right speech brings peace to our relationships and helps us communicate with more clarity and kindness. Right action. Right action is about living with integrity. It means acting in ways that are good for both ourselves and others. We refrain from harmful actions like stealing or hurting others, and instead, we make choices that align with our values. For example, choosing to help someone in need or making sure our actions reflect honesty and compassion will naturally lead us to a more peaceful life. Right livelihood. Right livelihood is about earning a living in a way that doesn't harm others. It encourages us to choose work that contributes positively to the world. For instance, working in a job that brings good to the community or choosing a career that aligns with our values helps us lead a meaningful life. This step reminds us that how we earn our living can be part of our spiritual path. Right effort. Right effort is about putting in the work to cultivate a positive and peaceful mind. It means making an effort to grow good qualities like patience, kindness, and generosity, while letting go of negative habits like anger or greed. It's like tending a garden. You have to put in consistent effort to grow the plants and pull out the weeds. The more effort we put into cultivating a peaceful mind, the more we begin to feel that peace in our daily life. Right mindfulness. Right mindfulness is about being present in the moment. It's the practice of paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and actions without judgment. When we're mindful, we're not lost in the past or the future. We're fully engaged in the here and now. Practicing mindfulness helps us become aware of where we are attached or suffering, so we can make healthier choices. Right concentration. Right concentration is about focusing our mind. It's the ability to calm the mind and develop deep concentration, often through meditation. With practice, we learn to focus on one thing at a time without distractions. This brings a deep sense of peace and clarity, allowing us to approach life with wisdom and calm, no matter what challenges we face. The Noble Eightfold Path is a journey of gradual transformation. It's not something that happens overnight, but with consistent effort and mindfulness, we begin to see its benefits. By following this path, we can break free from the cycle of suffering and live a life of true freedom, kindness, and inner peace. So, no matter where you are right now, remember, this path is open to you. Step by step, you can walk it, creating more happiness and less suffering for yourself and those around you. As we come to the end of our journey through the Four Noble Truths, remember this: while life's challenges are inevitable, they are never insurmountable. The Buddha's teachings offer us a transformative way to rise above suffering and discover lasting peace. By understanding the nature of suffering, releasing attachments, and embracing the path to inner freedom, we can all cultivate greater clarity, compassion, and joy in our lives. So take the wisdom shared here today and apply it to your own life. Step by step, embrace the journey with an open heart, knowing that true peace begins within. Thank you for watching, and may you walk the path to freedom with strength and serenity.